The incompetence of the Keneally and now the O'Farrell state governments in their administration of the solar bonus scheme has put the rooftop solar industry in jeopardy. This week, the O'Farrell government backflipped on its stated determination to retrospectively break 60-cent per kilowatt hour solar feed-in contracts with 110,000 property owners. The Premier said he was listening to the community protest, but the backflip came when it was clear the government couldn't get the numbers in the upper house. While a total of 160,000 property owners who signed solar installation contracts up to April the 28th will get their contracted feed-in tariffs, there is now no solar bonus scheme operating beyond the 28th of April. Most of the 830 installation companies in New South Wales, employing 8,000 people, will have to downsize. Many may have to declare insolvency as their backlogs are cleared. The industry, including the only solar cell manufacturing company in this state, is waiting for a promised summit. But at the moment, all their business plans are in tatters going forward.
Politicians have used solar like a political football. They bring it out during election campaigns to get some green credibility. But there's no long-term thinking about where do we want to be and end up with this technology.
And puts New South Wales at the forefront. This is a really good outcome for anybody who wants to put solar cells on their roof.
Incompetence Part 1, the big one. The Keneally government, trying to outflank the coalition on the popular demand by property owners to do their bit on global warming by investing in solar panels, announced the most generous gross feed-in tariffs in the country. Then coalition frontbencher Catherine Cusack, who didn't make it to Cabinet after the election, was the architect of the policy to kick-start the rooftop revolution in this state, but with a 50 megawatt cap to the kick. Instead, there was no effective cap in the scheme introduced by then-Minister, now Opposition Leader John Robertson. What was meant to be Robbo's political ace of the coalition soon turned into a money-hemorrhaging boom in 2010 when property owners realised that by investing in rooftop solar at 60 cents per kilowatt hour, they could make an investment return significantly better than the interest on offer from Australia's banks post-GFC.
The subject, as you've all seen today, a New South Wales solar bonus scheme.
With State Treasury and the electricity industry panicking, last November the Keneally government stopped the scheme dead in its tracks, but offering 20 cents per kilowatt hour for future solar feed-in contracts.
Hello.
In the state election campaign, the coalition and its members, hands on hearts, promised already contracted investors that if elected, current contracts would be honoured. The industry insists it warned government from the start that 60 cents was not sustainable. It was too generous. Haven't you shot yourself in the foot because you didn't really raise any concerns about the unsustainability of the 60 cent per kilowatt hour scheme, did you?
That's not true. We absolutely did. We were vocal at the time to say that 60 cents was unsustainable. When it was a gross feed-in tariff, in fact, the industry was shocked. And it was evident that a boom and bust was going to ensue. And so we've been talking to successive governments, the previous government and this one, providing them expert industry advice about how we can take that boom and bust cycle out of the solar industry in New South Wales.
Incompetence Part 2. In announcing his backflip this week, Premier Barry O'Farrell and Energy Minister Chris Hartcher admitted they'd based a highly contentious state cabinet decision to retrospectively legislate to break existing solar contracts on flawed and inflated analysis.
Would you agree that the initial decision of yours was hasty and it fitted into your belief about a black hole which many people think doesn't actually exist?
No, I think Cabinet's original decision was based on the additional advice from the acting head of Treasury about the $759 million blowout in the scheme, and that blowout is now, because it was based on the Duffy-Parry report, has been revised downwards.
Are you embarrassed that this mistake was made?
No, look, I'm not embarrassed. I won't apologise about trying to get things right for the public of this state, nor will I apologise for trying to clean up the mess left to us by the Labor Party.
While the industry has welcomed the backflip for investors who'd signed up before the midnight cut-off of April the 28th, the damaging upshot? Now there is no scheme beyond the 28th of April.
There really isn't anything now for people who want to continue to install systems. So there's no feed-in tariff, and the federal government's support via the solar credit mechanism is also going to be reduced from the 1st of July. So the industry is facing some hurdles.
The industry is still waiting for the scheduling of a promised solar summit to get some answers. It is vital for the future of this Olympic Park solar cell manufacturing plant operated by Silex Solar. The plant is Australia's only major manufacturer of solar cells, holding the competitive line against a flood of solar panels from China and elsewhere. At stake at this moment are 8,000 jobs in the solar installation businesses and Australia's manufacturing future in solar cells.
What we need now is a few more years of cost reduction from photovoltaics, and that's happening, but we still need that to happen, and then we will have a self-sustaining market, but we need the regulations in place for that market to operate.
Here's what the industry says it needs to survive over the next few years. What's called net metering, or price fairness for rooftop solar properties, meaning the grid distributor must buy your excess power at the same price it's sold to you. A government undertaking that a 20-cent solar bonus scheme can be introduced to keep the industry alive, at least until what is known as PARITY, that competitive moment when the price of solar generation coming down is equal to the price of coal-fired power generation going up, currently guesstimated at 2015 for residential electricity and 2016-17 for commercial industrial. At that magic moment, rooftop solar power in Australia won't need a bonus scheme. It will be competitive and self-sustaining. All you need is a good-sized roof, preferably facing north. If the O'Farrell government won't offer any bonus until parity, the industry wants regulatory certainty at the very least through what's called mandated grid connection.
There has to be a government mandate that solar is a right, that you actually have the right to connect to the grid unless there's some serious technical reason why you can't.
You've taken a hit, the industry's taken a hit with this decision because you have no certainty about gross feed-in tariffs in this state, but isn't there some good coming, and that is if the federal government imposes a carbon tax and ultimately a carbon price, which will get you closer and quicker to parity.
Look, a price on pollution sends the right message, but in and of itself, particularly at a starting price of sort of $10 to $20, is not going to be sufficient to get solar technology over the line. We need a plan that will actually get us to that point, 2014, 2015, and actually bring the cost of the technology down so that we all reap the rewards that come when we are an unassisted industry, where people install this technology and reap the benefits because it's economic to do so.
We put these industry points to Energy Minister Chris Hartcher, who was interstate and unavailable for interview. By email, Mr Hartcher told us the Solar Summit Stage 2 would be held in early July. He was now working with interstate ministers on a national response. The Electricity Supply Act required solar generators to be connected to the grid, provided they complied with safety, technical and metering requirements. After all this chopping and changing, those properties with the potential to generate their own power from the sun still cannot rely on government policy for investment certainty.